Morning, and thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to be back in the building. What I'm going to do here, because you're going to see more of me today, but I promise it'll be good, not bad, is I'm going to set the frame for today's marketing politics event. So I'm going to take you through a brief presentation, a little ensemble, a little this, that, and the third, just in terms of really getting our mindset in terms of what this is going to look like. As they say, post-election years when the real work begins. But one of the things that I respect about this discipline of politics is how it is behaved as a marketer. Long story short, did a stint at a public affairs firm. So I have been inside the Beltway community before, working on with nonprofits, working with U.S. embassies. The agency was actually APCO Worldwide, which wasn't too far from here. So the subject matter is near and dear to my heart, but I think it's the strategy within politics that I've always respected. So without further ado, let me start to click through this thing. Okay, so let's kick this off. Politics as the brand marketer is sort of the theme. And I think when you look at some of the talk tracks we get through and the ones that I'm going to moderate, you'll start to understand why I'm going to land the plane here. When we look at politics, politics has always been war, and the war has always been for attention. Let's just be clear. These guys are at the best at trying to steal it, hijack it, manipulate it, exploit it, fight over it, doing stunts. And most of it is out of the notion of attention. Why? Why attention? Because attention gets you influence, and influence gets you power, and it probably gets you a little bit of money too. So when we start to think about it, it's not about these millions and millions and billions of impressions. Of course, I'll get to that later. But the war has always been for attention, in particular in advertising. And politics is just one of the best at it. Right, wrong, whether we love it or hate it, dish on it, whether we call it shady or not, it's very crafty at it. So let's get into the truth around attention, because attention is fatiguing. Like when they say the human brain is lazy and gets tired very quickly. People have scarce resources: time, energy, attention. They say your greatest resource is your energy. They say that attention is the cash value of time. Remember that. Attention is the cash value of time. People like to waste your time, but real attention is where it's worth the most. But when you look at it, human beings don't move towards the things that don't move us. They got to provoke us, inspire us. Politics knows how to pull on those emotional heartstrings to go do things we didn't think we would do. So the brand of politics, or your brand of politics, means everything in politics. One thing I want to get about politics is it masters the frame. And I'm going to get into the frame, but think about the frame literally, physically, the frame of a picture. Sometimes you see a picture and the frame is so gorgeous, you don't even look at what's in the middle of it. The frame sets everything. Politics does this brilliantly because it's got us to a point we don't read headlines. It's all fake news anyway. It's the frame that is masterfully set that makes us believe without even stirring the bowl to see what is in the soup. But listen to this.
The frame matters more than the picture. What's that mean?
I think often in life, whether it's marketing or innovation, or when we're building companies or products or making content, we fall into the trap of thinking that the thing we're creating in and of itself is doing all of the work to tell the story. And this is happening all throughout our lives. We're taking shortcuts, using the frame to tell us stories of the thing that sits within it. People don't think about the frame. They think about the thing they're creating. But great artists, great innovators, your Steve Jobs of the world, your Teslas of the world, they obsess about the frame. Because it's hard to check. Like if you think about, we want to make an advance on people's perception of our product, the thing we've created, or the content. It's really hard to do that in reality. Like it's really hard, as Rory Sutherland says, to make a train faster or to make an iPhone better. Correct. But it's easy to play with the frame to change the story in the consumer's mind.
And that's the brilliance in politics. The idea to set the frame that you don't even read about what's in the middle, because it already makes you believe based on the establishments that's set up around it in terms of what it is. This is what most brands struggle with. Louis Vuitton does it well. They set the frame by handing you a bottle of champagne when you walk in. You get a personal shopper. Guess what? You're going to buy a whole bunch of stuff and you're going to spend thousands. It doesn't even matter. Gucci does the same thing. Then you have stores that, look, the clerk barely looks you in the eye. Setting the frame is everything in terms of selling the story and the narratives. And that's probably the most powerful aspect of what politics has always done very, very well. The next is moments. Brands struggle in capturing all these moments because we're so distracted. Our attention is fragmented. We look at our phones, 200-300 times a day now. I think the number just keeps climbing. But in politics, every moment is an opportunity to build an impression with an impression. These are just some random screenshots off, doing a YouTube search. But if you look at every single impression is part of a story, interwoven and stitched together. So when Google talked about these micro moments, or the notion of them, it's probably some decade ago. What they didn't really talk about is how moments shape worldviews or community views, and the brilliance in that. Then when they say that your opinions aren't yours, it's because all the impressions are forming your opinion subconsciously, often without you even knowing it. Politics has always done an effective job of tapping into the echo chamber, the things you're not even trying to see that you have to see, the things you aren't trying to hear that you have to hear. So politics is one of the disciplines that has mastered this idea of micro moments. It thrives on it. It knows how to stitch them together. The next thing is fragmentation. Brand advertisers on Madison Avenue struggle with fragmentation. You should hear media buying agencies, oh, media is so fragmented, we don't know what to buy. It's always been fragmented. And here's a quick clip from Gary Vee.
Misnomer of human behavior.
Yeah.
The fragmentation has existed forever.
Yeah.
People always read the books they want and read the newspapers and watch the TV and listen to the radio. Yes, to your point, absolutely, on fewer options. The misnomer is we didn't take advantage of those fewer options.
And again, I think politics always understood it was fragmented. It thrived on that. It allowed you to create different factions of followers, to tap into different human psychologies, and then try to unify them under sort of one band and one sound. And again, this is something that Madison Avenue makes as media stories. It's fragmented. This is something that the politics says, I know that. We created the fragmentation. The next aspect is news as distribution for politics. Every business needs a supply chain, a way to move products or narratives up and down, to and fro, from the point of origin where they're created and crafted to the point of consumption. This is a quick clip from Lioness. I love it. I thought it was brilliant, from Morgan Freeman.
News stopped being news when they started doing it 24 hours a day.
You got it.
It became entertainment. Core form at that.
They stopped reporting the news and started telling us what they think the news is and what our opinion of that news should be.
It just sort of summarizes the statement in an inherent understanding of the purpose that news cycles give and how they provide fuel. It's no different than Procter & Gamble having to make something in a plant and putting on tractor trailers and 737s to ship it across the country. This is a discipline that has understood how news cycle acts as a point of distribution, to be the marketing machine. While packaged goods only get to marketing machine when there's a snowmageddon coming and we have to empty out all the water and toilet paper at Costco and Giant and Harris Teeters of the world, and then we find out nothing really happened. So again, one thing, and a hats off again to politics, understanding the machine that it used and enlists to actually move its conversation. So just remember, advertising as an industry is the only industry that allows you to legally gain advantage over competitor opposition. And I said legally. Most other means are illegal. So off to us doing what we could legally do to outflank the next person, the next conversation in the space. So where do we go? Onwards we roll. No longer this sort of inside the beltway wonky community as people in New York and LA would refer, but now it's become a space that is in some aspects more sophisticated than other factions of marketing. When I look at investment banking, pharmaceutical, they're all behind this space. So we got new toys like zero-party data and AI to weaponize. So off we go and let's have some fun. Thank you.